Well, I have bad news for people that are hoping that 2022 is going to see an improvement and an abatement. We're going to continue to see a lot of the same trends that we've seen, particularly in 2021, but honestly starting earlier in the pandemic. And they're actually going to grow more diverse and more complex. A few of the things that we're looking at that are particularly notable is that the surface area that various cyber threat actors can attack, be it through cloud computing, through Internet of Things connected devices, et cetera, is just going to expand. And that will provide more opportunities for various malicious actors to get into systems, not only of individuals, but of course also corporate networks and those of governments. The U.S., of course, has started...
Sorry, I was just wondering, so yes, the risk is rising, right? And the number of bad actors is increasing. But do you think that companies and governments are doing enough to ward it off?
So we're definitely starting to see a lot of pressure coming from both government and private industry to do more, particularly in the United States and other Western countries. What this is going to mean that we foresee for 2022 is that while some of the more escalatory attacks, such as what we saw against Colonial Pipeline last May, where there was actually a kinetic real-world impact from a ransomware attack, some of those may be deterred. And what we are going to see is an improvement in cyber defenses that will stop some of these, but ultimately simply reorient attacks to more vulnerable targets. So that also means that countries in other world regions that have not been as affected are going to see more attacks. And we're looking at places ranging from Latin America to Asia, even some Western European countries that have been comparatively less vulnerable to the United States so far.
You know, a lot of fingers have been pointed at Russia in terms of the role it's playing in these cyber attacks. What's your sense on how they would approach that narrative?
So Russia is certainly one of the most, if not the most concerning nation state threat actor. But one of the trends that we're identifying for 2022 is that the line between nation states and non-state actors is going to increasingly blur. In prior years, it was generally easy to separate out, say, ransomware criminal groups from nation states. What we're starting to see is that ransomware and other cyber criminal gangs are adopting tactic techniques and procedures that were previously only available to nation states, and nation states in turn starting to either coerce, co-opt, and sometimes direct very clearly the activities of otherwise cyber criminal groups that don't have a state affiliation. And that's going to make the threat more diffuse and also make attribution a lot harder for organizations.